Hello, all of you delightful beings out there, and welcome to the stream. I am Raw Zim, and this is DevTales, where we're going to be working on our SCAR system for playing as Pokemon, Digimon, Monsters from Monster Hunter, and much more. I know we've got somebody looking at running a Star Wars campaign with this system, and we also have a campaign. I've got a lot of ideas for a Avatar: The Last Airbender style campaign with it. There's a lot you can do with it. But otherwise, it is available for open playtest on our Discord as well as on itch.io. For now, though, we will go ahead and get into the dev work. Oh, right, I'm also using the TF Talkies today, so transform me to your heart's content. And we have ducks up in the upper right because quack.
Thank you for the shout out, Tim.
And
Of course.
the funny thing is, Furry just released a ducks here in the game as well.
So, the first item of business. XP. It was brought up last night by Viv, and I still very much think that the getting rid of the XP per session is the best idea for the system as a whole. That said, we definitely do need some guidelines, and we've been planning to do some, but have not actually done so. So, what I am thinking is upper limit of 15 XP per session that the storyteller, guideline for the storyteller to give out. I'm thinking upper limit of 15 XP. Because there is a lot to spend XP on in this system, and we're only going to be adding more. So I think 15, maybe even 20?
Push it to 20.
Huh?
Push it to 20.
Okay.
The system's starting to get experience heavy, and to quote a certain other dragon, there's a gotcha system built into this now.
Yeah.
Oh,
Taldarius made the joke that he was intentionally building the system to be kind of like a gotcha with experience.
oh. Yeah, that makes sense to some extent.
So, alright. That said, I do want to have some guidelines on that. What I am thinking is, we'll lay out the guidelines of if they don't really do anything, it's going to be 1 to 5 XP. If they get some stuff done or do something important or generally just roleplay well and such, 5 to 10. If they actually get something done, 10 to 15. And then if they, beat a boss or do something major, then it would be the 15 to 20. What are thoughts on that?
I'm not
that's-
against it.
Yeah, sounds relatively
That sounds
reasonable.
cool to me.
But yeah, making it very clear that, like the Pirates Code, it is, not rules, it is guidelines.
Exactly.
Giant asterisk session, not end of chapter or what have you, or whatever word we're using for that.
Yeah.
Quest bonuses are different.
Yeah, definitely going to, because my original, when we switched away from the XP per session, the idea was the storyteller would give out the XP at the end of, a story arc. That's clearly not feeling very good. So that's why we're kind of bringing this up and coming up with, some guidelines on that. What do you think of this, Matteo, as one of the new storytellers?
I haven't really gotten to the point yet where I'm able, or well, not able, but I guess the word is behooved to give out XP yet. So I don't know what the system is already like, and I'm not sure what I could offer that would improve it at this
Well,
time.
with this, what we're proposing right now, you would be needing to give out XP every session. It would just be a variable of how much you're giving out for the session.
Gotcha.
Are you giving a little breadcrumb, or are you giving a piece of bread?
And that's, of course, based on what the players give you. Because, you know, if they just sit around and do nothing all session, well, they're not going to get much XP for it.
Oh, and actually, when we were discussing earlier the whole mention of how like doing 1 XP seems kind of insulting, I guess. That's not necessarily a bad thing to like drive progression, kind of.
Screw
that
you
makes
guys, I'm
sense.
giving 1 experience.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, the whole hey, you guys didn't do anything. This is a very clear indicator of you haven't done anything.
You guys sat around all day and poked each other in the eyes for experience. That's not how you get experience, guys.
What were you,
You
going
get
to
1
say, Maddie?
experience for surviving. Go ahead.
Oh, nothing. I honestly don't even remember what I was going to say.
Ah. Well, I will say with your game, obviously I don't know what's going on behind the scenes, but like for the first session, based on what I'd seen, I'd probably have given out, I'd say like 13 XP for that first session. And then for the second one, probably 18 or so. Just to give an idea of how this kind of would scale with things.
So they've been moving and shaking.
We've definitely, at least from, you know, the player perspective, it seems like we are definitely making good advancements in Agents of Reflection.
Nice.
They've moved to GibGab?
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, from what I've heard, he got knocked out anyway, so I guess you would have had to have moved him.
That was
No,
his own doing.
Yep.
I imagine that our local number cruncher probably is listening to these numbers and probably screaming internally or externally. But we'll hear about that later.
Hey, he's not here tonight. He doesn't get a say.
Wow.
Okay, he does, but you know.
Me waiting for the message to pop.
But yeah, like as a general idea, I like the idea of a variable system.
All right. Go ahead and note that down then, Raharu. Sounds like everybody's in support of it.
Mhm.
And since Era does not like the columns, I'll go ahead and change it to not columns.
Sorry, 14 or 7 hours of meetings today.
That's fair.
My brain's a little fried, and every time I look at a document, I have the urge to critique the crap out of it right now. So I'm just like, columns.
Okay. Could you recap the thing that you want me to note down?
Just say that the 20 XP fluctuating system is approved. That'll be enough for me.
1 to 20.
1
1 to 20, yeah.
Got it.
Alright, so next up, you all should have access to the Scar Dev channel here on the Discord. I have come up with a crafting proposal. Oh, hey, Maki. Everybody, you
Maki
need to
roll.
go check out Sweet Maki. They are adorable. They're an artist as well.
Oh.
Mods, can I get a shout out for Sweet Maki, please?
I don't think I did that right.
No, you did. I guess, Stream Elements must be down. So just do the / shout out then.
Unrecognized command? /SO name.
Oh no, it's / shout
Oh, it's
out.
Really? You Twitch.
I got it. It's alright. Yeah, everybody go follow Sweet Maki. He's an adorable doggo. And draws really good art. But, yeah, for the crafting proposal, one thing that I have noticed tends to be a drawback for a lot of systems when people want to craft stuff is time. Most campaigns, I see 1, maybe 2 people that actually want to go into crafting. And it's a lot for them to be like, hey guys, can we take, a month away from our adventuring so I can craft this thing? It's a lot to ask for other players to go along with.
Slowly looks at Vari.
Yeah.
That's fair, Maki. We're currently working on our SCAR system that I was telling you about. I considered it last night because I went to sleep, but, technically this morning. It's just a dev session. We're currently going over a proposal for crafting. But yeah, one of the things that I really want to do away with is the whole concept of, while yes, realism says that it takes, months to dry out that log, we're playing a game. We're doing a fantasy. We're in a fantasy world. Most of our games, we've got creatures that have insane powers. I think we can just hand wave some of the time away. Focus more on roleplay instead of just a generic, you gotta sit here and work on this for a month. Is there any disagreement on that?
No, I definitely significantly approve. Okay, so, I have a character in a Pathfinder game that is a blacksmith. That yeah, mundane blacksmithing is absolute suffering in the Pathfinder system. It like a relatively low-level blacksmith, you're probably going to take like 3 or 4 weeks to make one masterwork piece of anything, and it is awful.
1,000 silver pieces a day. Most.
Yeah.
It's even
And-
worse for magic items.
Yeah, well, okay, so magic items, at least it's 1,000 gold as, like, the baseline, and there's ways to make it faster. But, yeah. Oh,
Oop, there goes Matteo.
He wanted to engage with his chat and stuff, so...
oh.
Oh, there goes Matteo.
But, yeah, it's, so I definitely heartily approve of, loosening that, restriction. Because, yeah, playing the waiting game is not fun.
Hey, Burbson. And, yeah, I mean... Well, with a lot of these games, Maki, we are, you know, we're playing as Pokemon or Digimon or such. And so... It's like, yeah, I understand that in the real world, it would take a lot of time for a lot of this. But on the flip side, we are talking about magical creatures. These are not mundane humans. And for that matter, even in Pathfinder and such, I mean, average attribute, I believe, is 8?
10.
Is it 10? Yeah. Either
Yeah,
way...
10 is what is considered, yeah, the average for, like, mortal.
Yeah. We're talking about people that typically get up to 20, which is, you know, practically godlike.
Yeah.
So it doesn't make much sense that they would be held to the same standards as, you know, real-world human. And, like, in the case of, you know, like, Pokemon, like, Squirrel was working on blacksmithing, and they're like... I know we had some arguments about how it would take so long for this crafting, and it's like, sure, but he's also a fighting type. His body is, like, 110% muscle. To, you know, make jokes about Knuckles there, but, you know.
Yeah.
It's like, he could easily pull off a much better, you know, hammering on that piece of metal than a human would.
Or, like, just the fact that a fighting type could work a bellows for so much longer at like a much higher pace than a regular human.
Or on that front, you got fire types that can just be the bellows.
Yeah, yeah, like,
But yeah, sounds like that is approved then. Do you have disagreements on that era? Or Haru?
Well, not particularly other than, I mean, when it comes to the blacksmithing example, it isn't so much the power of the creatures. It is so much the power of the creatures that it is just the time that it takes for something to actually happen is just that's just how it goes, regardless of actual physical presence of someone, if that makes sense.
well, okay, so to some extent, but
We're also in a fantasy game. Who says that metal has the same hot melting point?
Fair enough.
or has the same like
Properties.
yeah, it
Physics.
I don't know. It's a case of being realistic doesn't always need to get in the way of being fun.
Yeah.
That's the best way to put it. Yeah.
I want to encourage people to actually go down the crafting path because I do see that hold back a lot of people just because, oh yeah, you're going to have to take so much time with this and you got to convince your group to do so, to go along.
Which is not fun at all.
Yeah.
No, a month is hard to deal with.
Let alone years. Because, like, in real life, I know that if you chop off a branch, you're going to have to wait at least most times it's about a year for that branch to actually be workable. But,
to cure it and such.
yeah. But this is fantasy. Let us have fun. Oh, hi, Raijin.
Taylor Beerus wants everyone to hydrate.
Hey, Ryan.
Hey, Ryan.
Very well.
I see a
will
hydrate or dihydrate, but I don't hear a hydrate or dihydrate.
Oh, I forgot to turn that on. Now the feed-through's on.
Hi, Regen.
Woo.
You're muted, by the way, Regen.
Oh, there we go. Finally. Hello.
Hey.
Yeah, I'm not against the time save. I just want to see the actual mechanics. Though I do want to encourage some time amount taken because time is a resource.
I
Yeah,
agree.
But blacksmithing for a literal month to make something is something that most games can't facilitate.
Yeah. Especially in a lot of games. Like, I swear the vast majority of games, you're spending months of real life time playing through what is essentially a week of in-game time. It's a bit much.
Like, one thing that would be relatively fast, but would still accrue a cost of, like, time investiture is, how about, like, day per tier per item or something?
I was wanting
Or something
to,
like that.
I was wanting to keep it not so... I didn't want to necessarily put that kind of guideline on it.
And, yeah, if there is any sort of thing, it wouldn't be a rule, it would be a guideline.
Yeah. What I wanted to do was basically just, put down, yeah, it's okay to hand wave the time that it would normally take.
Here's another consideration is, make it a number of successes instead of, so that would, encourage people that are doing crafting to put points into their crafting instead of just hand waving that.
That is the general idea, yes.
Okay.
Next item here, we do not have a clear-cut material cost for items. That's mostly because we just don't have items, period. So, that's something that we can come back to later. For now, yeah, no clear-cut cost for materials. On this, the next point here, to decide on whether success is achieved or how well, the end goal should be kept in mind. If the goal is to make a fine level of armor, but the character only has 10 attributes, that's going to be incredibly difficult. So they're looking at a very high SR regardless of the dots in craft that they have. For the record, fine armor is recommended for attribute 15 to 30. If they are attempting that and have 15 attributes, then would likely fall under difficult SR, but the closer they are to 30 attributes, the less successes they'll need to succeed. Second point on this, it is possible to over-succeed. They could be going for fine armor and wind up either making masterwork or just a high potential fine armor. If they really excel with successes, it could even be a legendary level. Don't be afraid to give them these higher items, but lock away higher abilities or power levels until they reach a point where they could normally use such a thing, and make a story out of them unlocking the full potential of what they've made.
Yeah. Like, storied items are always very, very cool.
You crafted a legendary level piece of armor, does not mean you actually know how to actually make use of it.
Yeah, Similar vein of thing from a era game. Sean weapons.
Oh yeah, the legacy weapons.
Yeah.
What do they do? I have no idea. Put stuff into it and find out. Which is honestly just me being too lazy to actually build legacy weapons, instead making my players design things.
Ah.
It
Yes,
works.
Scheme, like
Y'all
Jace's
like
new
it.
arm. Like with like Jace's new arm is a fine example of all of the magical ability of the creatures we are playing as. Like Asher is able to manipulate the data of things. Sure, he went around and gathered up all the different materials that would go into Jace's arm, but actually putting it together was just, oh, okay. And Asher could just do it. He obviously still needed the successes for it, but overall, it's not a matter of time. He could just do it basically instantly. Because he can just manipulate data, and everything is data in a digital world. But yeah, any disagreements on that section? Or any other thoughts on it? Anything else I should include, etc.?
I'm assuming we're gonna let the math dragon at that one. To come up with suggested DCs at dots then.
Just as an overall idea, and a lot of this is going to be storyteller approval anyway, so it probably won't ever be a problem unless the storyteller lets it be a problem. But I wasn't aware that masterwork armor is supposed to be all the way at 30 dots. That's insane. But that also does mean that, like, technically speaking, someone that's spamming crafts could end up with masterwork sooner than otherwise intended. Because eventually you will critical.
Oh yeah. On that front, like I did put in there, the storyteller can lock away those higher abilities. The idea there is they don't have to go back and reforge, forge new armor when they get to that 30 attribute. And yeah, I know that Masterwork is really high. Legendary is not even necessarily recommended for any attribute level. Most people will finish their campaigns with just Masterwork.
Legendary is that this is the god tier stuff and the rules no longer matter.
Yeah, it's
But yeah, I get where
I mean,
Ratchet is coming.
it depends on the speed of the campaign, but like a lot of the current games, even 30 attributes is a very, very long time away. Like, more so than I would even think Pathfinder Paragon tiers or stuff like that. Go ahead, Vari.
But yeah, the being, of course, a Pathfinder nerd, the concept of masterwork being such a high tier is kind of weird to me, considering that's like the entry level gear for Pathfinder is the quote unquote masterworks, and then it's the plus ones and stuff, plus twos and so on beyond that. But yeah, it being the higher tier makes sense on like a wording level, because masterwork is the work of a master. So yeah.
So, I know that in Pathfinder you start off with Masterwork gear, but in our system, Masterwork is basically the equivalent of like a +3 item.
Yeah.
At least as far as the power balance goes.
Yeah. But yeah, I think that like maybe a consideration of like only being able to go up A tier unless you get a Nova level amount of successes.
Well, that is the
Might be.
intention.
Yeah, that might be a reasonable thought because yeah, the accidentally making god armor or something. Yeah.
Would it be worth considering a stage between Fine and Masterwork, like Exquisite or something like that?
Honestly, I'd probably start giving out as a GM Masterwork armor, or at least start pushing for it around 25, 20.
I would be okay with expanding the tiers more. I know Tao probably will not like that because he's going to have to go back to the drawing board on calculations.
Yeah.
But I would be a-okay with... I would be very much okay with...
I'm not completely... Go ahead, Zim.
I would be okay with adding more tiers. I do plan to make the tiers universal. Like right now on the document, they are listed under, I think, armor or weapons, one of the two. But I'm just going to do a universal, these are the tiers that all equipment come under thing. But I'm okay with adding more tiers. Just need to come up with good names and such for them.
I'm okay with adding more tiers. Just make people cry.
Is there a tier 0?
Tier 0 is currently basic. The consideration on this... The consideration to be made on this is getting to attribute 15 is actually relatively... It is something that should be happening relatively quickly in a campaign. Like you should be getting to attribute 10 within the first few sessions of a campaign. So having, the next tier be at 15, I think, is the best option. But I'm not against having another tier in there. It's just trying to figure out how to divide them up.
It just feels to me like if Fine is going to be at attribute 15 and Masterwork is attribute 30, that's like 90% of the game, basically. You spend almost the entirety of character development in Fine by design. But that, I guess that's kind of an aside to the crafting thing, and we can just put that away for now.
Actually, I would say it is part of the crafting setup. So figuring that out now would probably be a good idea.
Yeah. Because if we do a bunch of...
It just makes me...
if we do like a bunch of figuring out how these iron out as far as crafting them, and then we rework the whole system, it would be a gigantic mess.
Yeah, like my only concern here is like if players by design are going to be allowed to tier up, that's going to be a huge deal when it's otherwise very, very difficult to get access to Masterwork until very late into the game. That is something that should be like controlled by the storyteller, but it could be something that the storyteller misses too.
Yeah. I figure that having a tier every 5 attribute would be at least reasonable.
That'd be 6 tiers.
Yeah,
Era, any thoughts?
My thoughts are is that we start at 8 attributes. So from 8 to about 12, you want to be in your tier 1. This is at least the way I would do it. I'd throw the party into tier 2 somewhere between 12 to 15. I'd expect them to be at fine. After fine, I would expect them to be in that until about 20 to 25, and then start moving their master one. Though this is
Okay.
also bearing in mind that, unfortunately, not very many people have taken armor. So, I don't know how it rolls in a campaign too well yet. Not enough data.
Hey, we might figure that out tomorrow.
Ye- So if we were to add or any more tiers, I wouldn't do more than one more. A 5-tier system sounds fine to me. It's basic enough. It wouldn't require Tal to do too much more math, and then we could even it out from there.
Seems fair to me.
Also, I like the number 5 more than I like the number 4. Don't
Why?
judge me.
What's wrong with number 4?
It's in between 3 and 5.
So, one of the big difficulties is coming up with names for these tiers. Did that not work? One sec.
Well, I threw out a exquisite as
That word, I do not think would be the
idea
best.
earlier. I mean, it was just a random word that I threw out.
Quality.
Yeah, one of the difficulties is that we're not. These aren't technically necessarily magical pieces of gear, which is why I've been struggling. Why I struggled to come up with names for them, because we can't go with the the standard uncommon, common, etc., etc. Because those are referring to magical gear. The rarity of the magic. So that doesn't really work for this, so I want to come up with good names for them. Let me go ahead and add a note on this document. So,
Me and Tao were just sticking with tiers.
Okay, so exquisite, no. How about refined?
Artisanal.
Quality.
artisanal to me just kind of gives the implication of, yeah, this is just meant to be pretty, not functional.
Artisanal jelly armor. Made from the highest quality raspberry jam.
Jesus.
I'm sorry
Maki,
that my brain works the way it does, okay?
Yeah, just artisanal. Well, go ahead, Zim. Go ahead, Zim.
oh no, go ahead.
Yeah, I was gonna say, artisanal free range, non-GMO, whatever.
Chicken armor. Feathered armor.
Yes.
Are we describing Gib Gab now?
You know, when I made the recommendation, I completely forgot that artisanal as a word has been completely destroyed.
Unfortunately, the world got to that word before you did.
Yeah.
Okay, to start, let's just go with the tiers then. So tier 1, which is the basic, that's going to be 8 to, I guess, 12 attributes.
8 to 12. Well, hold on. Give me 1/2 second here. I need to do
Okay.
quick maths. So we take 30, which is our end goal, right? 30 is kind of where you hit end game and nothing progresses after that, right?
That is the intention, which for the record, people, characters are not meant to reach 50 attributes in a normal campaign. 30 is kind of when you get to that end game. I kind of surmise most campaigns will wind up ending about 40 attributes.
Okay, so if we leave tier 5 as the godly stuff that happens around tier 30, that means we take the 30, we divide it by 5, and we get 8. So that means 8 to 16 would be your basic. 16 to 24 would be your tier 2. 20... Did I do that right? No, I did not do that right. Hold on, brain.
Yeah, I was gonna say, that's not sounding right at all. While you're figuring that out,
It's because I did it by... freaking...
Oh, Raijin took care of that for me. Yeah, Maki, I handle, basically everything for several artists, except for the art itself.
Maki's first day and he already gets quote 200. Very nice.
Very nice indeed. So we're going with 5 tiers, right?
That'd be my suggestion.
I'm okay with that.
Shush, phone. I'll take my meds in a moment. I'm doing maths. Eight, 14, 20, 26, 30. I'm just gonna send these numbers to you in the list. Roughly every 6 level or attributes. Matter of fact, I would just leave 30 out. Just do 8, 14, 20, 26. What were you saying? Sorry, Furry.
Yeah, that's a lot better as far as gaps.
Yeah.
Oh no, if we do this with armor, we have to do this with weapons.
Yes.
Yep.
Yep.
Tal's gonna kill us.
Yep.
That's... It's
I'm
fine.
sorry.
We need to get weapons done before I can run my Scar campaign anyway. Progression is important, and feeling like you're progressing
I
is
just
important.
feel like I'd get so frustrated. Yeah, I just feel like I would get so frustrated sitting in fine for like 15 attributes, which is like years of play.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maki, that's kind of the point. Okay. I would say we come up with 2 more tiers. And then we have tier 6 as legendary.
Reed does
Which-
math.
I think that way they've got... Because they're not necessarily meant to have legendary equipment. When you get to, like... It is stated that legendary, you might have one item of that as a group. As opposed to, everybody being kitted out with a legendary item. Well, of course, QuoteBot knows who's the cutest there, Raijin. But that way they've got 5 tiers of progression that they can go through.
There's the math for that.
Well, yeah, tier 6 is meant to be shrug. 8,
Well, I wrote it
13
in for my own brain.
8, 13, 18, 23, 28. I'm okay with that. I think those are good numbers.
Is that a toe? Nope, that's Nocto.
That's an octo.
That's an Octo.
Oh, hi,
It's a cutie.
Octo. Yes, as the Emperor of the Chat decreed. As I'm sure many people are rushing to the stream loots to go play the Emperor card before Octo does.
He can't play a card. I banned him, remember?
Unfortunately, Raijin played the card, so your decree was no longer valid.
Ah,
Dang.
deal with it later.
But yeah, how do those numbers sound? 8, 13, 18, 23, 28, and then from there, that's what you have the rest of the game. In general.
Stares at Vari. And
Why am I
Raijin.
being stared at?
That sounds fine to me.
Yeah.
Like, later on, I imagine 5 attributes will take quite some time, so...
Your Emperor has returned.
Even though it's only 5 attributes, it's going to slow
Jimond
down.
is the new Emperor of the Chat. They declare that Octo/Cobalt is now considered cute under ZGF law again. All hail Emperor Jimond _.
And the war has begun.
This is the second time I've heard it. Does it say ZGF?
It does.
Yeah. Be right
Yeah,
back. I'm gonna take
anytime
my
that-
meds.
Anytime that the text to speech has a Z, it yeah, it does that.
Alright.
Freaking Canadian text to speech.
So now we need names for these tiers. Tier 1, I would still say basic is... Because, like, I understand some people use tier 1, 2, 3, 4, etc. But there's also people that prefer to have a proper name for the tier.
Oh,
Like common,
actually,
uncommon, rare, so on.
I have a reasonable thought though, as a way to get us another tier in this.
Okay.
Tier 0 or 1 could be flawed.
I don't like that one. I'd prefer just calling it basic.
Okay.
Because flawed does imply that, you know,
Also-
there's something wrong with the item.
Ah.
I feel like flawed is one of the weapon traits or something along those lines, so...
Oh yeah, that is fair. In that case, probably like inferior or something.
I don't want to imply that there is something wrong with it.
Okay, that's fair.
So that's why I wanted to go
Yeah,
with
I mean-
basic.
So... Yeah, this tier is meant for, like... It's going to be completely adequate for civilians. It's just, like, high-end adventurers are not going to get, like... High-end adventurers will need more. So I think basic will be completely fine as a name.
That's fair.
Era has given me basic, quality, fine, superior, masterwork, and legendary. I'm not sure about quality, because that is a very... Like, a lot of those are relatively generic words, but quality is an especially generic word used in a lot of places.
It's... Yeah, I like the idea of it, but it just doesn't roll off the tongue very well for me. Maybe instead of that, basic, fine, superior, excellent, masterwork, legendary.
I would be okay with doing excellent between superior and masterwork.
Yeah. Though,
I
as
do
an
like fine
alternative,
as a tier, because then you can slide up and be like, baby, are you 13 attributes? Because you are fine.
Pat.
Quick.
Bah.
So anybody opposed to the basic, fine, superior, excellent, masterwork, and then legendary?
Sounds good. Sounds good to
so
me, I think.
so as a well, I tentatively am cool with that, but as a potential consideration, you could go with terminology based on tiers of craftsmen, in that you've got like your journeyman craftsman or your fellow craftsman.
I typically don't name the product after the maker's skill.
Yeah.
Yeah, and plus there
Okay.
is a consideration for, like Squirrel, he has 5 dots in craft, which is top of the line, and yet he would not be able to pull off, masterwork right away, because he's just not high enough on attributes.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Don't necessarily want to base it on that.
Okay.
I think we'll go with the fine. Basic, fine. Superior. Excellent. And then masterwork.
How to tell my brain is fried, I almost said you're an attribute.
How would that work?
You're an attribute to this team. I'm gonna go shoot myself, please, BRB.
Nope. Alright, so now that we've got that out of the way, the next order of business, as I wrote in here, feel free to utilize other skills in the crafting process. Like, sure, making a potion would fall under craft, but if they have a science alchemy specialty, consider letting them add half of their science skill, as well as a specialty bonus, to the roll. Are they searching for ingredients? Perhaps survival for finding them, or athletics to actually mine the ore out. I put it somewhere in here, but when adding an additional skill, it would be... Oh, right, I put it right there. Add half of their science skill.
Okay.
I think for the final crafting roll, that would be okay. Like in the case of Jace's arm, that is definitely a technological thing, so Asher could have added half of his technology to the roll.
Suggestion there, limited to 1 additional skill for ease.
Yeah, that's reasonable, because otherwise people might pull some chicanery.
I think we'll put in 1 or 2. I don't see many situations where even 2 would be available, but like in the case of Jace's arm, it was also a prosthetic arm, so adding medicine would make sense as well as the technology.
Oh, actually, a reasonable thought. Is there going to be collaborative crafting?
Oh, that's already a thing. Other people can assist.
Okay.
Stares at Vari harder.
Yeah, the Era might be a little displeased with me doing some dynamic crafting, potentially.
The dynamic crafting was fine. But now you're taking leadership to have a fellowship of blacksmiths that are just going to always be there, and I'm just like, God damn it.
Wait, what?
In the non-streamed game, Vari's playing somebody that's a blacksmith. whose tutelage was underneath the legendary blacksmith Sean Verdance. And things are taking time, the group's doing things. So Vari wanted to take leadership specifically to have an armada of blacksmiths at their disposal.
Yep. Yep. Well, okay, so there's some clerics involved too, but
and a bureaucrat. I know what you're doing. You're taking over the dang town, but you sat down and built all the leadership stuff yourself. So I'm just like, fine, whatever.
And yet, this is what Master was waiting for in WoW tradition.
Yeah. How did I
So
wind
Vari.
up with the straight man Vari?
It's all about attitude. You see, you want this, therefore Vari is not going to do it. Instead, Vari's going to save it all for me, whom already has a complicated story going on and 80,000 things to keep track of, and is starting to reconsider not taxing the damn party for running a mercenary guild. So I had to teach you guys how to frickin' like actually figure out what your worth is.
I feel so bad for Nico with how complicated all that is.
Deku's been enjoying it.
Yeah.
Deku's our spreadsheet man. My games require spreadsheets.
Oh, that's when you know it's very chaotic.
Yeah.
Alright. So, yeah, 1 to 2 other skills aside from craft can be added to the final roll. Alright, so next up, crafting is divided into multiple steps. Research, planning, gathering, prepping, location, and execution. Research may be a more hand-waved one, but they could still benefit from actually hitting the books or finding a weapon they like what they want to make, and training with it a bit. Maybe getting some instruction or finding a recipe. The idea here is that each of these steps will have rolls that add up towards the final actual craft roll. So if you fail one step, you could make up for it on later steps. Or, like with the actual execution one, you know, you might just do absolutely horribly on the craft roll itself, but all of your prep work you did really well, so it could make up for the failure on the execution itself. And that's the general idea of this. For planning, it's actually plotting out how you're going to make the item. You could just spend some time thinking on it, or maybe drawing up schematics. Maybe you make some prototypes to see how it works out. Then you've got gathering for, you know, actually going around gathering the resources. You could be purchasing them, harvesting them. It's generally the more involved you are with the gathering. Like, sure, you could just go out and gather, you know, you're going out and gathering ore, but it's not going to provide as much of a bonus as you're making a warhammer like Squirrel is. That's all well and good, but ore is not the only thing that would go into it. You know, you would need to actually make sure that you're getting the special tools that you might need, like a mold or such. You could be getting a, in the case of Squirrel, he went and grabbed some wood to make the actual shaft. He's going to put some of the iron into the wood to, you know, supplement the relative frailty of, you know, wood. And then, you know, getting some oil or wax to prepare the wood, to treat it and such. Getting some leather straps to make a nice, you know, handle for the hammer. So on and so forth is the general idea there for the gathering step. In the case of Asher, he was going around and picking up hoses, screws, ingots. He grabbed a sword, he grabbed a shield, you know. He was going all in on finding everything that he needed to go into the crafting instead of just saying, yeah, I'm just grabbing some metal and going with it.
Yeah.
Again, more roleplay equals better bonus.
I would hesitate to make that standard, though. Because most common players probably, I say probably, don't want to go through all that.
That is very true.
I know several players that do, sitting in this call. But at the same time, go ahead.
In my experience, when it comes to people that are into crafting, they want it to be more involved. Like, yeah, you're going to have some people that are... I would say the ones that don't necessarily want to be that involved with it are the outlier. I know I myself go for the more involved. Orem has been very involved with Argus. From the sounds of it, Furry seems to be very involved.
Huh?
Here would be my suggestion, though, because a lot of people stray away from crafting due to its complicatedness and complexity. I would suggest we write base rules for the people that don't want all that, and then include supplemental rules for the people that do.
Yeah, and like, if like most of the stuff is just stuff that you already happen to have on hand, then yeah, it's I figure that is a step that would be a lot easier to hand wave than any of the other steps.
Oh, absolutely. Like, you can just hand wave away this. Even if you've already got the stuff, you've already got it. You just did the gathering prior. These steps are not meant to be completed in order necessarily. Or at least the gathering one in particular. But yeah, you can just roll it. You can just roll and say, yeah, I'm going to go gather materials for this, and boom, there you go. Your roll's your roll. It just comes down to this creative solution system on whether
I
you're
see it more like
bonuses.
each of those stages is a point where you can have a consideration for the output of quality. Like location, some crafts, the location really kind of isn't that big of a deal, depending on what you're doing. Meanwhile, like, if you're actually trying to forge something, then yeah, you do want, like, a really good blacksmithing setup, so location is important. So it's more just, like, points for the storyteller to keep in mind the process, as opposed to, like, a step-by-step progression.
Yeah, if we're writing it like that, where these are considerations, I'd be fine with it. I just don't want it. I don't want to make another complicated system.
I'm okay with it being considerations, then. I'll go ahead and put that in.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, there's going to be a player that's going to be like, yeah, I want to just make a potion. And it's like, okay, roll it.
So,
I'm going to sit in my room and make a potion.
I did say at the start that while sometimes crafting may be mundane, for that especially important project for your character, it should be a proper story. So, like, you're just going to be cooking. Yeah, you don't need to go through all this. You're just making a potion. You don't necessarily need to go through all this. This is more for those really big projects that would, in other systems, take, months to complete.
Yeah. Still, wording is important. Consideration is a good word.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just don't want players to look at it and
guys,
be like...
I can't provide a good meal this session. I forgot to roll for research.
Yeah, I just don't want players to feel like it's a process for the player that is just going to avoid crafting because it's a process. That's always been my complaint. It's always, you have to sit down and figure out what they mean by and how it actually works. Which I'm happy to do, mind you, but figuring out how to make magic items in Pathfinder as a player character was a thing. I had to make an entire calculator to do it for me.
Are you serious?
Mm-hmm.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, because crafting a magical item in Pathfinder works in a couple of different factors. First of all, you have to be able to do the spellcraft roll and hit the spell level of each individual spell that is going into the magic item. So you have to make those rolls separately, technically by rules. Plus, you're capped on how much you can make per day at a silver or at a gold value. 1,000 gold. If you want to make something quicker, it's like plus I think 10 to the DC to do 2,000 gold pieces in a day. So let's say that you want to make a belt of giant strength plus 4. That's a CL 6, I think. So you have to have giant strength. So you got to roll a spellcraft if you don't have the spell on hand, plus the spell level plus 5 to be able to simulate the spell to make the thing. Then you have to roll your craft.
Oh, CL8, by the way.
CL8. So yeah, it's super complicated.
Yep.
And I just don't want players to look at this and be like, "Wow, this is 3 steps. I don't want to do it."
Why did it make it so complicated?
Because these games aren't designed with crafters in mind. Crafting is always an afterthought. It's easier on them to just be like, here's how you do it, but most of the time they want you to just go and buy the thing or find it.
And this is why I want to make a... That's what I'm trying to avoid. I want the crafting to be appealing in Scar. I've heard... I know Exalted, I believe 2nd edition, had a really awesome crafting system that was actually fun to engage in. That's what I've heard. I haven't actually read those rules on it because I don't necessarily want it to influence how I build Scar. But I know that it is possible to make a fun, actually fun crafting system instead of just being... Yep, I'm spending months doing this in game. Here's your rolls. Alright, moving on.
So I would like to note that the dynamic crafting system for Pathfinder is one that I very much so enjoy. And it's effectively a 3-step system.
It is, but it's clearly written challenges. They're like mini challenges, so...
Yeah.
Well, that would be something that I would love to incorporate. I'm just trying to make sure that Scar is a, you know... It's one of those things where it's nice that those exist, and I would love to draw inspiration from them, but I want to make sure that Scar stands on its own, instead of just being copy this, copy that.
Mm-hmm.
We're already doing enough of that as is.
I certainly think this works well as a framework. I think, like, I kind of said this last night, but, like, moving forward from this, I do sort of, like, we need a little bit more definition on the items and weapons.
I would love to get weapons done.
Yeah. It's... the weapons are part of my next plan on all of this. Crafting is going to be a universal thing, which is why I figured we could start there. It's not, you know, it doesn't really care what you're making. It's an overall, you are making something. So I wanted to get this done. And we don't even have a baseline set up for the rules on this yet. As for the difficulties on these, I will say that we already have difficulties in the Scar document. Let me find where it is. It's in the Storyteller's Manuscript, Page 136. There's a table there for success ratings. Which I am very much okay with, changing this, but basically it's based on the amount of dice that the group as a whole could be expected to roll for something. The average amount of dice. And it's a percentage of those dice for how many successes they need. Hey, Ido!
Hey, Ido.
Hi, Ido.
It an Ido. It a fluffy.
So, I would like to note that the 6-step thing that we have currently here, you could combine several of these steps. Like research and planning could be bundled together.
I think they are. I think it's a 3-step.
Okay.
No, they are separate, but I will point that they can be combined.
Yeah, like research and planning, gathering and prepping, I feel are both things that you could bundle together.
You could. Not always though. Like for example, gathering onions versus sautéing onions is, well, that's not quite right. Gathering onions versus chopping onions. You would need to be in separate locations probably, unless you're chopping right in the field. But
yeah, well,
but hey, then you would get more tiers. How about that?
I mean, if you're chopping them out in the field, yes, probably plenty of tiers.
Yep. Yep.
It's kind of hard to protect your eyes out in the wilderness. These are really bad jokes. I'm going to shut up now.
I did have a thought. What about and this would help with the mundane crafting. What about some sort of rule in place specifically for already known practiced crafts? And this would apply to like recipes that you've already like done before, basic crafts like your potions and stuff. Because like if you're trying to make a very elaborate piece of armor or an elaborate weapon, that's going to be like that's always going to be like a first time craft kind of deal. But if you're like the party cook, then sure, you can go through this entire process for new recipes that might confer special bonuses or do special things or what have you. But for recipes that you already know or recipes that you have been taught from, you know, within the game world or whatever, having a fast track through it because it's a known recipe, that might help with the mundane craft.
Me reminding Vari that he had trouble making basic arrows and kept on accidentally making masterwork.
Yep, that was a good time. Hated it.
Too good at arrows.
Yep.
He kept on rolling stupidly high, and I was just like, you know what? No, you accidentally make masterwork. Sorry.
So, as I said, this is for especially important projects. That is literally the first line here. If you, I've already done the recipe or already made the thing, it's not really an especially important project anymore.
Yeah, so we don't have to spend a significant amount of screen time of Osmond making sautéed mushrooms and onions for breakfast.
Exactly.
But why not?
If you want to, go for it, but it is not required.
That's a bad example to have because that would always be comedy because of the ghost inside Osmond.
Anyways, for the next part here, prepping is the actual preparation of the materials. The branch is great and all, but it's not ready to go into the final project without some oiling or waxing or letting it dry out, etc., etc. The prepping phase is literally just you're getting all of the materials ready for the actual project. Location. Yeah, there are some situations where you can pull it off just fine with what you've got, but a meal cooked on a campfire is not going to be as good as a meal cooked in a proper kitchen. A meal made with a mini travel a weapon made with a mini travel forge, not going to be as good as something actually in a, master's blacksmith forge. It's just a matter of where you are and what you're using to actually do the crafting. It's not necessarily something that you would roll for, but it's more of a, you're going to get a bonus if you're in a proper setting later.
I'd like to put out there that I actually like food cooked over a campfire better than kitchen food.
Yeah. Like steaks over a campfire? Oh my gosh.
Campfire eggs.
Wait, campfire eggs?
Okay, could you please not, you know what I mean by this.
Yes. Sorry, Look, Calderius isn't here. My brain is fried. I need to be some level of pedantic.
But campfire eggs?
Yeah. Yeah, you just big iron skillet, some oil, crack some eggs in it. Bam, done. A little bit of salt and pepper.
I don't know if you guys have ever had hobo pies, but that is definitely one thing you cannot make in a normal kitchen because you need to have that campfire.
Oh,
I'm not familiar
campfire
with
pizza.
hobo pies.
So-
do explain, please.
Hobo pies, first off, there's special irons that you need to get, but basically...
Oh, hoe cakes.
Huh?
Hoe cakes.
They might have a
They
different
have a bunch
name
of
for
different
them,
names.
yeah. But
Yeah.
you get these special irons, you put, you butter both side of each, you take 2 pieces of bread, butter one side of them, put the butter side down onto the iron itself, and then you fill it with whatever you want. Could be pizza fillings, could be pie fillings, whatever. You close up the iron, put it into the coals, flip it and check it here and there, and oh man, they're so good.
Yeah.
I miss hobo pies.
I have a fireplace and I'm hungry. But
I never had any of these before, so I'm just kind of like, oh.
So what we need to do is we need to bring you camping because you wouldn't believe the kind of things you can cook in a campfire that are just better. Burgers. Burgers over a campfire and brats and hot dogs always taste better over a wood fire. Marshmallows. Hobo potatoes.
I'm sure Rin will just eat his dry ramen, though.
Oh.
Excuse me, what?
No, he actually cooked ramen tonight. You made a positive change in his life, Raijin. He actually cooked the ramen tonight.
Is he one of those people that just lives off of ramen?
No.
Did I hear that right? That he eats it dry?
Yeah, he opens it up, breaks it up, pours the powder over it, and eats it like that.
That's prison style.
That's college stuff. That's what you do when you're broke. College, living in a dorm, and the hot plate broke because your roommate's a jerk, not because you're an adult with a working stove.
Or you're, as I
Potato
said,
chips.
you're in prison because apparently, like, the flavor packets on ramen is used in currency in prison sometimes.
Hobo pies.
That's prison style. 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 That's prison style.
Buoy. Just buoy. Not
Yeah.
even boy, just buoy.
Well, it's not the dry ramen. Listen, it's not the dry ramen that's upsetting. It's the fact that he crushed it up, put it in a bowl, and then ate it with his fingers. Come on, Ren, get a spoon.
With his fingers too.
Yep, that's definitely college dorm level nonsense.
I mean, I have in the past eaten ramen like chips like that. That's. But that is not.
Vari, you are not a role model. You are a gremlin.
So, yeah, food crimes aside, the last step is obviously the execution, where you actually do the crafting itself. Any thoughts on all the crafting stuffs? Outside of what we've already discussed that I've already added.
Sounds like a good framework for it. Like, and yeah, I figured that it's very much so storyteller discretion as far as what sort of difficulties and everything. So it's kind of just, yeah, this is a good guideline.
Anybody else got any other thoughts on this? For Haru, Era, you know?
Not that I've already, or haven't put out there already.
Yeah, not really.
Though, also making it very clear that this is for.
I said all I wanted.
Yeah, like making it very clear that this is for large, significant, like possibly, like story affecting, like big stuff. Because, like, if you're just making like a sword out of materials that you already have or something, I figure that you don't have to go through this whole rigmarole.
Yes. That, as I have said about 15 times now, that has already been addressed.
Yeah.
Zim, oxygen's good for your brain, whatever's left of it.
Calm down.
But yeah, just I just
reiterating.
I had some.
Vari's just reiterating.
Yeah, yeah. You got it.
Okay, off to the to-do list. None of that really needs notes, by the way, Haru. I've got that sheet and stuff already, so.
Okay.
Okay.
Should we... I don't know if it was added to the to-do list proper, but the expertise idea I posted in ScarDev a week and a half ago. If we want to talk about that now.
Or is that one we need tell about for?
Do we need tell for it?
Not necessarily, but at the same time, that's a fairly large thing, so I think it would feel better if Tell was around.
We can wait on it.
Get the major people here at least.
So, as far as that goes, I am all for that. Like those, feats tied to expertises, I am all for it. Just, we need to actually come up with those, so it would be better if you actually gave a, like there's something similar to the Bardic Inspiration, which is great, but we're gonna need more for that, like, more ideas.
When he was talking about it with me, I said, let's get the general idea out first, because it would be another leveling mechanic. That at certain expertise levels, you'd basically get to pick from a bunch of different things. Extra abilities.
Oh, so it's not feats?
Yes, so it was an idea to kind of emulate a little bit more of the class feature feel and bring expertises from being just not only your mannerisms and how you do things, but give bonuses to the way you do things based on the expertises you had. And the way that Raijin explained it to me is like if you
So-
have 3 dots in charming, maybe you have an inspiration dot you can hand out, or something like that. Go ahead, Raijin. Sorry.
My my original idea was feats, but Era talked me down from tying a cost to it. But the original idea started if you like the way you've written the document so far, all of the expertises, or most of them, actually already are kind of given uh class archetype descriptions. Like charming is referred to as your bards and your leaders and stuff like that. Which got me thinking, well, what if you focus in on charming as your expertise? Then you get what is effectively a bardic inspiration die that you can hand out. And adding these sorts of features that you can pick up as you further specialize into expertises. And I bounced this idea off of Era, and that's kind of where we ended up.
Yeah, we
And
put a pin
wanted
in
to
it.
propose it.
And this is kind of why I want Taldarius here for, because it'd be a bigger conversation. But I know that you were saying that you wanted to give more legitimacy to leveling, and expertise is definitely a leveling area. So we could give something extra expertises, and this would also satisfy the whole we don't have classes in here, but expertises could, in a way, kind of take that position.
I like
Well-
this idea.
If we do want to have them be feats, I think that would be okay-ish if we're going with the larger experience thing as a whole, because when people have more XP, they'll have more to spend on stuff. So
I mean, that's not necessarily a bad thing, but with Zim saying that he wanted leveling to feel more impactful, what I was thinking was we could sit down and make lists of different features and tie them to certain expertise levels. So that way, that gives a leveling element to the game, which it currently has kind of a minute level concept.
yeah, that and just
And,
from
like-
whatever list you just pick it, and that's what it is until you somehow respec it.
Yeah, like I ideally I wouldn't it's not like I want it to be like, oh, you have 2 in charming, well, now you have a bardic inspiration die, but more like at certain breakpoints you can pick up a feature based on what your expertises have, and you can only have so many of these features, but these features altogether kind of create a character progression that provides more class-like structure. So like charming giving you the option for bardic inspiration, as well as a couple of other things that you would typically see in like your paladins, your bards, etc. Cunning giving the option for like a stealth attack or something like that, sneak attack, sorry. As well as a couple of other options like, maybe tying evasion, just that kind of thing in general.
Oh, does that mean forceful could potentially get like a barbarian's rage type thing?
That was something that was mentioned, yes.
I really like this idea. Here are some guidelines I would like for it. First off, we've
Raharu,
got
please write
enough.
these down.
Huh?
I said, Raharu, please write these down.
Yes.
Yeah.
First off, I don't want them to cost XP. We have so many things that cost XP as is. I like the idea of just letting people get this based on what they're at with their expertises. I would like it to be an option. Like they pick one of a few different options that they get access to. Like, for example, with Charming, they might get access to the Bardic Inspiration. Well, I don't have very many ideas on this right now, but we'll just say
Bardic Inspiration or Hawkeye.
Yeah.
Stealing from One Piece. Yeah.
Say we put Rage under there, under Charming. I know we won't, but just for the sake of example, because I don't have very many examples right now, they could choose to go with giving Bardic Inspiration or having Rage for themselves. And then that will increase in power as they progress along the expertise. I would like to have 3 options per expertise.
What is that? What is that we're calling this?
We don't have a name
Probably-
for this yet.
Just put any features expertise for now.
Yeah. I want it to be something that they get to just choose to have, and it increases with power as they increase the expertise. I would say they need to have at least 2 dots in the expertise to get access to it, though.
I was thinking of just giving something from the grab bag every certain amount of tributes. Your common 3, 5, 7, 9.
What? Yeah, Arrow was thinking, like every milestone expertise milestones where every time you get a total number of expertises, then you go to just a list of them, and they all have expertise requirements for them to pick up. And this also gives options for you need 2 in 1 expertise and 1 in another expertise to be able to pick it up. But I think those details can be worked out a little bit more deeply with Taldarius around, probably.
I feel disturbance in the force. Taldarius is currently writing up a list as we speak. Not as we speak here, but as we speak when he's watching this. Taldarius, if you message me that this is happening, I'm going to laugh at you.
I'll go ahead and set up a spreadsheet for this later, and just give access for writing into it.
I have some ideas brewing.
Definitely put them in the suggestions channel.
Oh.
For those that are
I guess
official
it's a
devs,
good idea
I will...
when a whole bunch of people are already getting a bunch of ideas.
Yes.
Oh, good. We're gonna have Vari put them somewhere other than my DMs. I'm just teasing you, Vari. Don't be mad at me.
But yeah, I like this idea. I would say I don't want to tie it to how many dots in merit or in expertises they have, because then there would be the whole, okay, I'm just going to put 1 dot in every expertise just to get to the next milestone. But tying it to attributes, I could see.
Here. Okay.
Did you have disagreement on that?
If you did, you
I was actually just about to recommend maybe tying it to attribute milestones.
Yeah, I like every odd number of attributes for now, but we may change that later. Because we don't necessarily want them to get access to... Actually, no, not every odd, because...
That would be a lot of them.
Yeah.
Go by 3s. We already have our 5s in, so we might as well drop our 3s in now. 1 at first level, then every 3 after. Or character creation.
I would say the first one is at attribute 9. The reason for this is for new players, we've already got a lot of stuff that is being thrown at new players. I would like to limit it a little bit.
Okay.
Go ahead,
that
Brad.
does also cleanly put you at 8 when you hit attribute 30. So that works out pretty nicely.
Okay, 9 in every 3 levels after. Or excuse me, attributes. I should not say levels, but brain.
This kind of works with that anyway, but the only other thought I had was my original intention for this was because of the way it's designed, you can spread out to a bunch of different expertises, but generally it seems like the best idea is to have a primary expertise that you keep well ahead of the rest of your expertises, because that's going to add dice to everything you do, so that's important. Plus the impact of having like a capstone ability once you max out an expertise, I think would be nice. But that can still be tied because it would just have expertise requirements and stuff.
Yeah, I like this, and I also like the idea of having... The problem is coming up with enough of them. That is the main problem. Because at base, we're going to need...
I'm not worried about that.
24 of them.
I will give certain people 24 hours, and I'm sure there's going to be a big list.
Okay.
That was a mistake to say out loud. You would be very good at coming up with lists for this as well, so we'll probably poke a key.
I have no qualms with if we already have a feat, like I know we kind of gave Mythic essentially the same thing as Paladin's Lay on Hands as one of the affinity feats. We can find a different affinity feat for that, so don't worry about, you know, having multiple that are similar.
There can be multiple routes to the same... Oh no, what's that one Ed quote? Many doors,
Life has
Ed
many
boy.
doors, Ed boy.
Thank you.
Life has many doors, Ed boy.
Thank you, Ralph.
Where's that from?
Ed and Eddie.
Oh.
That one weird episode where they somehow exited the fourth wall, ended up in between everything.
See,
And then there is a classic, and also one of the few shows that actually had an ending.
Yeah.
What's underneath Double D's hat?
We still don't know to this day.
I must know.
But yeah, I like this a lot. I would like to see some that are combination of expertises. So like if you have like charming and forceful together, I would love to see some of those as well.
Okay.
Hello, Blue Bat.
Good to know.
There probably is some that are flying.
I'm sure there's a lot of... Yeah, I'm sure there's a lot of tinkering to make this really work, but just knowing that it's an acceptable idea and that I can go ahead and start brainstorming is good. Because this has genuinely been bouncing around in my head for 2 weeks now.
Oh, definitely. Definitely a good idea. Thank you. Yeah, I would like to see 3 for each expertise. You know, each solo expertise. And then I also would like to see some that are... we'll come up with a name for this whole system later, but... yeah, I like this a lot.
I've just been running with features.
I don't want to use features because we've already got, you know, primeval features and then feats that are technically short for features. But we'll figure out a name later.
I mean, you could just go with, like, expertise perks or something?
Yep, perks wouldn't be bad. But conversation for later. Also, be right back.
All right. Raijin, I am going to put you in charge of kind of gathering together these ideas for, stuff that comes into suggestions and such.
Yeah, I figured. Just make sure I have access to the spreadsheet.
Will do. And now we're basically just waiting for Era to get back so we can go into the discussion points.
Oh boy.
Yeah. I feel like this idea would help a lot with patching up progression a little bit, as well as giving some of that class-based feel, so every character feels loved this way.
We're still here.
Yeah, I'm mostly just waiting for
Era
to get back.
E.
I just wasn't expecting that much quiet.
That's Raijin.
I can be quiet too sometimes.
Yeah, right, Ren. I was in bed with you last weekend.
Woo! Wow. Damn.
I'm gonna keep my mouth shut.
Yeah, you should learn to keep your mouth shut because, man, I also need to leave my headphones behind when I walk away because, man, I got so many jokes, including behold my power, look at what I can do. I can stop an entire dev session by just walking away.
Damn.
Nice,
I am a dragon.
Alright, so first up on the discussion docket. If they are affected by a condition or otherwise that prevents action altogether, may they use actions for cleanse, or perhaps be able to use cleanse in place of any disabled action. I know that we did make it so they could use cleanse even with stun, but there are things like restrained that disables actions. And it was realized to be kind of broken.
Uh-huh. Especially when you use it in conjunction with sealed.
The cleanse action should always be usable at least once a turn period. Past that, though, I think we should leave it as is. But somebody should always have the capability of cleansing.
Alright. What I'm thinking on this one is that they can... Anytime that they are not able to make an action, they can use cleanse. Which could lead to up to 3 uses per turn. But that is if they...
Go ahead.
That is if they are entirely disabled from being able to make actions, period.
I would disagree with that, though.
Okay.
It is currently listed as a standard action for cleanse, and honestly, the point of those moves is to lock somebody down. So I would say that no matter what, they can cleanse. But it is a lockdown tactic, so we'd be removing lockdown and grappling basically from the game. If somebody has restrained 1 on a move and it's their primary thing, or restrained 2, and somebody can just make that go away in a turn, it devalues it heavily.
How what about potentially, since cleanse is technically already a defensive maneuver, make it so that if you use cleanse more than once in a turn, you start actually getting the defensive maneuver penalty.
I like that suggestion.
That might be a good idea. I would
How
still
does that
say
feel,
that feels better, but not up to 3. It's still a standard, or it's not a quick action, so.
There is a feat that lets them make it a quick action, but I would say, yeah, they can use it twice unless they have that, so they can use it as a quick action, or bonus action, whatever we called it. I think it's quick.
Quick action.
I would say unless they have that feat, it would still be limited to 2, but they can use it twice. It's just, I do like the idea of they start suffering the defensive maneuver penalty if they use it more than once.
What is the defensive penalty off the top? I don't remember that.
I believe it was -2 dice.
-2 accuracy stacking until your next attack.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
That I would be fine with, because then you're still eating penalties, and then those moves that are specifically designed to lock down aren't going to be basically tossed out the window. I have a huge issue with the way that grappling gets handled in TRPGs most of the time, so that makes me feel better.
All right. So then go ahead and note that down, Raharu. Cleanse can be used in place of any disabled action, provided they are able to normally use it. If it's used more than once in a turn, it starts suffering defensive maneuver penalties. Well, yes, always mush the cute soon.
Was that?
You're cute.
No,
See,
not.
he knew we were talking about him.
I'm not, cause I'm the only soon in here. That's how I can tell.
I mean, technically, well, like, I've got Kitsune characters.
Yeah, Bari plays as a Kitsune.
My Discord icon right now.
I have a Wolfsune character.
Actually, I'll swap to Fred.
Red pandas are basically Tsunes, except cuter.
Shots fired.
I don't know about that one. As far as them being Kitsunes.
But you don't disagree with cuter.
Okay, so maybe. Maybe.
Did you get that written down, Raharu?
Yes.
Cool.
Before this war commences.
So, next up, Blind's third stage of intensity needs to be changed because it was made before we had the, max change of 2 difficulty on any roll. And we realized, oh, wait, Blind 3 still technically inflicts +3 difficulty. What do we want to do with that?
Minus to accuracy and evasion.
Ooh, I like that idea.
Because, if you're fully blind, you can't exactly dodge or hit things.
So, stage 1, +1 difficulty on accuracy. Stage 2, +2 difficulty. And then stage 3, they have a -1
Evasion?
-1 evasion
And accuracy.
and
On
Yeah.
top of a stage 2.
I would say just the -1 to evasion for stage 3. Yeah, I like that. Any other ideas or opposition or whatnot? All right, go ahead and note that down, Raharu. Blind stage 3 now inflicts -1 evasion.
Got it.
Next up, medicine and healing over time. Right now, healing over time is kind of broken.
How so?
Because it just... you apply healing over... Like, for a normal heal, you have to do a roll. Which means you could botch. As we have seen from a certain weasel many.
It wasn't that many times!
Okay, so as a counterpoint, I would like to note that it's nice to have a potential guaranteed source.
I agree on that partially, but it's also kind of a, well, if I can just give them guaranteed healing, why go for heal power?
Because healing over time is very limited.
Yeah, with the how it costs what, double power cap?
The great equalizer here is that it's very little healing. The good part is that it's there, but it's there for only like 5 turns, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, but you could stack that.
All healing costs double power cap, Vari.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So
I thought you could only have one source active at a time.
No. At least not right now.
I was wrong on that part.
I think one source is fine.
Yeah, if it is only one source allowed for heal over time, I think that it's okay.
But then we have to make sure that
I would
roll
certainly
set.
recommend one source because because
Emperor has
one
returned.
of the ideas I had for Comet would
__ is the new
unfortunately
emperor of the chat. They declare that previous decree of Octo/Cobalt of being cute continues and enhanced. All hail Emperor Jimond _.
The Emperor is dead. Long live the Emperor.
Does this mean that technically Gimmond committed Sofoku to be able to reinstate himself as an emperor?
Yes.
Yeah.
He faked his own death.
Sounds like emperor nonsense. What were you saying, Regin?
So what I was saying is, whenever I had done a bunch of math of comparing heal over time to regular heal moves, which I don't remember off the top of my head what exactly I was doing to look at it this way, but I was finding that heal over time is kind of valued in that it's roughly equally as powerful as a regular heal move on average, if you're not Rain, after the 3rd turn. So heal over time ends up being more healing by the 4th and 5th turn. per investment. So the regular heal moves still have a very important place of being upfront healing, because even after like you use your heal over time, you still don't get anything from it until that person's next turn anyway. So if you're using it on yourself, that's an entire round where you get nothing out of it.
I would just make sure to limit it to one source.
Though I would like to note that if it is multi-source, I'm absolutely gonna slap Fury on mine as soon as I am able.
Okay, so we'll limit it to one source.
Larry, here's how I'd break it if we don't fix this right now.
What I was thinking on this is making it where it is a roll, just like the damage over time. However, when it comes down to it, it is a situation of you still roll, but you do get to add your medicine to the roll.
That makes it something that non-healers are never going to take. And I think that's one of the benefits it has right now, is it's something good for non-healers to take. Your common fighter and barbarian would be stupid not to have a little pop heal like this on themselves.
I'm sorry I'm boring you, ducks.
So, I would like to note that adding medicine... Yeah, for Osmond's case, it would generally be a wash either way for him, whether or not it's guaranteed or whether or not it's with medicine, because that would be, what, 3 dice, and... Yeah, so, gonna get 1 at, like, most of the time, in theory, potentially, hopefully.
Got 444.
Yep. And I guess there is more opportunity to crit out of that, so that is nice.
Yeah, my only concern is it kind of locks it to people that have the medicine or are healers then. So, Jace has this, for instance, as just a small mechanic to keep himself up. It would limit that capability.
Alright, so I guess the only change we'll make then, it sounds like the consensus is, it is just only one source?
Well, what do other people think? Because I know I put my opinion down.
I don't like adding medicine to it, because now it makes it, for example, Rain could pick up a heal over time. The only thing they have to invest is 1 point into heal over time, and then they get to roll 6 dice every turn for healing, for free. Like, you just do a quick action. Like, Rain could probably make a quick action, 1 heal over time power AoE move, and then just get to roll 6 dice on everyone every single turn.
I will say, Rain is a bad example for this. I understand, like, Asher doing this. Asher doing this, yeah, that is a very strong thing, you're right. Rain doing it, well, yeah, he would kill the party.
You guys,
I'm picking Rain as an example because
Raharu.
I'm picking Rain as an example because I know his character sheet has 5 dots in medicine already.
Yeah.
Raharu?
Yes?
If you've seen his rolls?
I have seen the rolls. I still think you guys are mean for because you keep pointing it out.
See, the thing is that it's only mean because, well, Rain's allowing it to happen. Ren's allowing this.
I am. And none of that, but it's such an anomaly of happening so many times. Like, it shouldn't happen this much. It really shouldn't, but it does.
I know.
Like, we've got the two ends of the spectrum of statistical anomalies. So, yeah.
It really is. It
It's
really
okay.
is.
While I was visiting Ren last weekend, I made sure when I was visiting Ren last weekend, I made sure to exorcise the demons that were inhabiting him. So everything's gonna be better now, right, Ren?
Right.
How many potatoes did you have to sacrifice to make that happen?
Let's just say he was making a lot of noise.
Well, that's not hard.
So at least 2 potatoes.
Yep.
You guys are hilarious.
But Raharu, I will remind you that we have, as part of the rules, the pineapple safe word.
Yep.
If
I know.
Ren is feeling uncomfortable by this, he could say so.
Which is why I haven't, because, like, I find it hilarious.
Gotta love the bits.
So yeah, don't jump to defense on him when he's enjoying it.
Mm-hmm.
This is like teasing Mala. He's enjoying it.
Fair enough.
Because one day, this gonna have a reverse action, where Rain's gonna roll so good.
That is gonna loop back to bad. Got it.
It's gonna be the freaking Gandhi. He rolls so well that it just winds up becoming nothing. It just goes right back. He's not supposed to be rolling well, so therefore it goes even worse.
So what happens when a guy has only 5 HP normally, but you heal him for 30? He explodes? Oh.
Actually, at a LARP that I used to play at, that was addressed of, going to the plane of life sucked if you were immortal.
Yes, it does. Go ahead, Raijin.
So what happens is Rin uses the special die expression to roll his die, and it's so good, it just never stops rolling. And you have to shut down the server so the roll doesn't count.
Alright. So the only change we're making is
bringing it back.
Only one source of heal over time.
Did you have any thoughts on what I was saying about the like problem with, you know, you can just get 1 heal over time and have 6 dice that you're throwing because of your medicine?
Yeah, I like I said, only change we're making is one
source.
One source. So go ahead and note that down, Raharu.
Yeah, I noted that down. Limited to one source.
Other thing to bring up about healing. Botching a heal check.
Oh my god!
Are we actually making that into a thing? Because I'm down. I'm fine. Yeah, like
Rain is gonna be so screwed.
I think we should make it where if you botch your heal roll, you do the damage.
Oh my god! Rain is done for.
Okay, so I have a.
Oh, don't be such a baby. Ribs grow back.
I have a proposal for a malicious healer feat, where you can choose to fail. Like if there's a roll and you get a dice that is a success, there should be a feat to allow you to discard successes.
I mean, you can't just choose to botch something. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, you
Yeah,
can't just
I don't
choose
have
to
it.
fail.
Oh, okay.
I would suggest that that instead of full damage, it's like half damage or something to make it not too bad, at least.
It's because you're counting rain, aren't you?
Look,
Diesel.
I wasn't going to call it out the fact that Rain's going to kill the party, but if you're going to call it out for me, I'm worried that Rain's going to kill the party. And that considering the intent is to heal, minimizing the damage would make sense. To a certain degree. And I don't want Rain to kill the party.
Okay. I am okay with half the botch being damage. Cool. Note it down.
Okay.
Oh my god!
This is how I finally kill Nova. Not myself, but Rain.
Rain was a villain all along! Who knew?
Everybody?
So, one little side note that I did want to get opinions on. Page 7. The Greaves note box. So, I'll be honest, the main reason why I added the Greaves notes at the top is because trying to copy a single cell table is a pain in the ass. So I added another cell on top. But I wanted to get opinions on it anyways, because, you know, I think it looks nice with it on the right there, but I'm not sure what people's thoughts are, whether it should be, you know, left aligned, in the middle, or kept on the right there.
You said page 7?
Yes. I'll remind you guys, you can click on my little icon at the top to scroll to where I'm at.
It looks fine as is.
Okay.
It'd be nice if quick keys worked properly in Google Docs, but they don't.
What's
you
up,
okay,
Ray?
Ray?
As I said previously, my only...
You're only?
Ren?
I'm fine. I'm fine.
My only concern is that if you're looking at the document on mobile, it's really bad formatting, but that's more of a Google Docs problem, I think, for whatever's going on there.
Yeah, just looking at the document period on mobile is garbage. Doesn't matter what we do with this, but I could do everything I could try. I could try everything I could think of. It's just going to look like garbage on mobile.
Unfortunate.
Yeah.
Like when the document is done, we'll export it as PDF, and you'll have that.
Yeah.
And that will work on mobile, but yeah, right now, oof. But yeah, that was just a side little thing that I wanted to feedback on real quick, because wasn't sure if it was too busy or not. And I do intend for there to be other people that leave notes on this, on the document, aside from just, you know, the Greaves ones, but most of them will be Greaves. Anyways, we have finished the discussion about medicine and healing over time. Next order, the movement maneuver. Right now, it specifically says that no matter what you have for movement, you can only move 30 feet per turn. I was trying to think of how we should change that, or if we should.
Yes, it should be up to your movement speed.
The question is, how do we handle multiple movement types? You know, having flying and land movement.
You
Oh,
have
you
to
can only
choose
do one. Yeah.
You have to choose one?
Yep. Choose one.
All right. In that case, yeah, go ahead and note that down, Haru. It'll be based on your whatever movement you choose.
What was the main thing?
Just, you have to choose whatever movement, and that's what you use for the movement maneuver.
Use that speed and use those rules. KISS, man.
Alright. Next up, Aura. So, we've got multiple characters in the campaigns that are utilizing Aura from Pokemon. Aura is broken. However, it's something that I feel we should go ahead and come up with standardized rules. You know, you've got Squirrel that gets into Aura. Cobalt could get into Aura. I know Jet and several of the other characters in Starlight are considering doing Aura stuff. If you actually look at the rules for Aura, or not the rules, but, you know, what it can do, it is basically Deus Ex Machina.
What?
The Thing.
From Pokemon specifically.
Yeah. Capabilities of Aura. Ability to read minds and actions of another being. Ability to sense other auras and view surroundings even with a blindfold. Also allows users to view through some objects. Projection of one's aura, such as to create barriers or attacks. It can also be used to transfer auras to others, a method that can be fatal to the user. Activation of time flowers, whatever the hell those are. Telepathy, to seek and speak to the spirits of the dead. To allow the spirits of the dead the ability to touch the physical world. When in sync with the trainer and by invoking the bonds of its friendship, a Pokemon can use its aura to supercharge an aura sphere to gigantic size. Literally, you know, like Tao pointed it out, it's the Kamehameha from Dragon Ball.
Spirit Bomb!
Yankee Dama.
You can also use it to create a telepathic vision in which they can feel each other and anyone inside the other's aura from far away. Based on that description, it sounds like literally, you know, the physical holograms from Star Wars. Aura is broken. So...
Space wizard magic.
Yeah.
Don't give me ideas for a Kobold.
Well, you're using Scar rules completely. Aren't you making auras a primeval thing? A primeval feature?
I wasn't necessarily planning on it, but now I am definitely thinking about it.
Make it a primeval feature, list out its abilities outside of the things that we already have stuff for, and go from there to give it some hard rules. Well, and maybe Deus Ex Machina, like, by 10 degrees.
Well, the problem is that a lot of the things that it can do can be done by other primeval features already.
That's in Pokemon. That doesn't have to be the same for Scar.
You're right.
Though, with kind of a similar thing to what we were talking about with the specialty stuff, is there can be more than one way to get to the same end. So,
true, it could share some of the things.
Yeah, but I don't know.
What I am thinking for this is, 1, it'll be made a primeval feature. 2, it will still be a bit of a Deus Ex Machina. However, the drawback with it is, yes, you can pick up Aura and use telepathy and the various things under the telepathy. It technically can do both telepathy and telekinesis. But basically what we would do is it would be one of the few things that actually has a resource to it. So a limited amount of uses per day. Or not necessarily, it would basically be you have a pool of things that you can do, it would probably not have too many things that it requires an XP cost for, except for increasing your aura. The amount of points that you have available. And
instead of spell slots, you've got aura slots.
basically. Kind of similar to how we did stability for the shape-shifting. It'll be kind of similar to that, except you don't really get the points back when you stop using the ability. And that's kind of what I am thinking for it, but I wanted to get thoughts from others first. So, like, you're not going to spend XP to get access to telepathy with it. But instead, you have so many points, and, like, being able to use telepathy might be 1 point. And
so it's like you would just buy into the aura pool, and bigger things would have bigger amounts of resource. Okay.
Exactly. That's what I am thinking. But obviously I want thoughts on that.
I'd like to see more to be able to more accurately consider it.
See more how?
Well, as in, like, see the numbers.
Things written out, so that way I can more accurately determine flow.
Got it.
Now, bear in mind the moment that you include a limited resource into the primeval features, that conversation's going to start popping up all over the place, so just be aware of that.
It's going to be an outlier with that. I will be very particular about it being an outlier.
I guess I'm just somewhat nervous about having a Deus Ex Machina anything.
So, I would like to note that for, like, the major Deus Ex Machina uses, I would argue having a cost of all points be a thing, potentially.
What do you mean?
As in, like, for, like, the really big, dumb things, have it potentially be a variable power, but when you use it, you're out of aura.
Yeah, when you run out of a resource pool, when you run out of the aura pool, whatever we have.
Yeah, no, I mean, like, the bigger moves should just use all of your aura, regardless of how much you have. It might do bigger things, but like the really dumb stuff, you should only be able to do once a day.
I don't think we're going to have really dumb things with it. It's more that you're going to get access to... It's kind of going to be you're getting access to multiple different things, just not as freely available as what you get with actually going into the primeval feature.
Okay.
Because, like, if you go into the telepathy primeval feature, you just have telepathy forever, you know? Whereas with the aura, you're spending it per use, or along those lines. You ever hear the tragedy of Darth Octo the Cute?
No.
I have heard the tragedy, Gip Gap. It is that he does not accept his cuteness.
Ah. And hi, Gib Gap.
But, alright, well, I will go ahead and work on that then. It sounds like the idea is tentatively approved. We can obviously adjust numbers later, but...
Yeah, I just want to see it more written out so I can better parse what's going on with it. Because vague concepts with complex things like this don't register until I got things in front of me. I'm sorry. You can tell me what an apple looks like, but I won't understand what an apple looks like until you show me one.
Oh, okay. You need the visual aspect. Got it.
Yes.
Yeah. No, I understand that. I'm a visual person as well. I won't get it until somebody shows me something. Then it makes sense to me.
Alright, Cat. That's my armrest and I need it. If you're going to prevent me from using my mouse. I think... You are my armrest now, Cat. Deal with it. Don't look at me like that. Get off my armrest. Or be my armrest. There is no in between here. Zim, do we have any other short talking points to go over? Because it's about 8:30. 8:40.
The only other thing here... I think I asked somebody else to add this. Don't remember who. Crit chance change. Has no specifics listed. I was under the impression after getting this for 1 rank, you would have to rebuy it for 2? But
Yes.
also has no section to go into it specifically as a status? Were you the one that wrote
me and
this?
Raijin were... I think I did, yeah, because me and Raijin were talking about how it's supposed to work, and then we were talking about it in game how it was supposed to work with Viv. So... Go ahead, Raijin.
Yeah, basically. So if you look at the move traits chart, if you're picking up crit chance to change under stat move traits, it costs 20 XP to pick it up, but then it costs less than that to get the 2-stage stat change, which is, you know, completely off from all the other stat changes. And then also under chapter 8 of conditions, if you go down to stat changes, crit chance doesn't specify anything like unique about this aside from it only stacking up to 3. So it could use some clarification on
So technically, with the way it works now, you could get the stat or the crit chance change for 20, and then for cheaper make it a 2-stage, which seems a little weird. I believe the 2 is what, 12 experience?
It's 15.
15? Yeah.
For guaranteed.
Yeah, we can just make it a simple to, as opposed to the others. Let me double check things real quick, actually.
Yeah. I don't know if this is going to be a Taldarius required conversation or not, but it was...
Yeah, it might be a Taldarius thing.
It was definitely something that wasn't, or that needs to be double-checked, though. It doesn't follow nomenclature, so...
Yeah, I think this might be something that we need to have Tal here for. Alright. Yeah, I think that's something that we're going to need to discuss with Tal, so I think we are done for tonight.
Woo!
Okay.
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 So, thank you everybody for joining us so far on the stream today. That was a DevTales session. Check out our website, zgfgaming.com. We've got links for our Discord, Telegram, Mastodon, Blue Sky, Patreon, and more. They're on the website as well as down in the description below through our link tree. Thank you to my patrons, tippers, and subscribers. It is your support that keeps this channel alive and going. I cannot do this without your guys' help and your support, so thank you. Consider becoming a patron over at patreon.com/zgfgaming. It's one of the best ways to support the channel, though you can also do so by sharing the stream around, as well as coming by, hanging out, picking up packs of cards to stream loots, tipping to the channel directly, or sending a treat through TreatStream. But for now, thank you so much for joining, and I bid you all the most fondest adieu.
Night, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Duke
Bye.
Duke.
Bye.